Hey guys, Prowl1701 here, and today we're going to be talking about some Season 23 of Classic Doctor Who with my wonderful Standard Edition here, Limited Edition up here. Now, this was actually sent to me by one of my patrons, Simon. Simon's been a huge supporter of the channel. He's actually sent 3 out of my 4 Standard Editions, and he asked, when he sent this one, if I would do a review of The Mysterious Planet. And since Simon has been so kind, and I like doing Patreon requests anyway, he's one of my patrons, and patrons at certain tier levels do get requests every month that they can utilize if they choose to. And the fact that he spent, time and money purchasing this for me and sending it to me, especially since I believe it has to come overseas, I definitely wanted to do that for Simon. I really, really appreciate his continued support. And luckily for me, which I really like, Mysterious Planet is my favorite story of the season anyway. So Mysterious Planet is, of course, by the legendary Robert Holmes, my favorite Doctor Who writer of all time. Now, it's not his best story, but it's still a good story. I really like this story. First off, the dialogue. I love the dialogue. Robert Holmes is a dialogue god. I absolutely love his dialogue. There's just little things about the dialogue, little polishes. Like, they didn't have to be there, but the fact they are there makes it so much better. A lot of this works with the performances. You take Tony, who is, of course, playing Glitz. I love Glitz. I've said that on the channel many times. I love Glitz. Glitz is a combination of good writing, good directing, and just a good actor performing him. Tony is so good in this role, because Glitz could have been this very unlikable character. But the way Tony performs him makes me just love him. He's that, irascible rogue, kind of Han Solo-like, where there's just something about him you like. He just got this kind of charm to him. And it's interesting because, Glitz doesn't have the kind of charm like women swoon over him or anything. There's just something about the performance that personally charms me in a way I enjoy. I can't explain it. But I love those little bits with the dialogue, right when he's they're purposely trying to get captured, him and Dibber. And the guy playing Dibber is great too, by the way. They actually work as a duo well, which Robert Holmes loves doing that. He loves having that double act in his stories, kind of like in Carnival of Monsters, with the man and the woman who have the little scope. He loves doing double acts. And Tony and the guy playing Dibber play off each other really well. I love when they're trying to get purposely captured, and he looks at Dibber and he's like, I always feel so silly saying this. And then he looks at him, take me to your leader. I love that it makes that little comment. You don't have to do that, but I love it. And I wish... there's a lot of times when I'm doing these reviews, I review each part, especially if it's the first time I'm watching a story, or if it's one I've only watched once and it's been a long time, because my memory's not good enough to keep up sometimes with everything I want to track if I'm watching the whole story. So when I do just specific parts, it's easier for me to remember, because there are so many things in this story, those little quips that I like, and there's no way I can always remember them all. Like I love when he's trying to explain to Dibber kind of what an entrepreneur is, I think it is. He's like, it's someone who has all this money and just likes giving it away. And Dibber's like, oh, you mean they're stupid. Yeah, I guess you do. You could kind of look like one of those then. Because Dibber didn't know what an entrepreneur looked like. And, I love that little back and forth there. You didn't have to have that. But the story benefits from it a lot. I also truly love the scene at the beginning when the Doctor and Perry kind of first get on the planet and they're walking around in the woods. And they have this really good camaraderie. And I always get this sense that a lot of time has passed between Season 2 and Season 23, between Revelation of the Daleks and this, because they do seem like they have a closer bond. I would have loved to have had more of them with this kind of friendship in this season, because that's a wonderful conversation they have there in the woods, and to the point to where the Doctor's even kind of poking fun at himself. I wonder if there's any intelligent life on this planet. And he's like, besides me, you mean? And then he kind of nudges her with his elbow. And you get that it's not the second Doctor being his arrogant, but of course I'm amazing self. He's actually kind of poking fun at himself, like he's realized he's a little arrogant, and he's just saying that to be playful with her. And that's the way Colin delivers that line, where he's like, oh, besides me, you mean? You can tell he's kind of poking fun at himself. And the way, I love that little extra bit he does when he kind of bumps her elbow with his elbow playfully, like friends do. I really enjoy that scene a lot. I like the guest cast well enough. The guy who's kind of, not in charge, but the kind of human character that's in charge down underground, the one with the green helmet, the one that's secretly actually helping people escape, I like him. Of course, I like the actress playing the woman who leads the tribe of the free. I like her a lot. She's a lot of fun. She's a little over the top sometimes, but it's in a good way. It's in like a Chase from Seeds of Doom way, where it works. I like it. I'm not a big fan of the robot designs, but they're not the worst. Like the L3 robot is okay. I love the head design for it. That's nifty. The L1 robot's very basic, but it does the job. And I do like the kind of yellow spray paint on it. I don't know why, but those little yellow lines on it really helps that design for me. I don't know why. It's a little thing, but it makes me appreciate it more. And the way the ropes shoot out of it, I kind of like that. It's got some cliffhangers I like. One of the biggest problems I had, although I did adjust to it, where it works better in this story than it does in some others, is the trial scenes constantly cutting in. The first time it happened, even though I've seen this story several times before, it jarred me so badly. I was so engrossed in the story. Once the actual flashback story started, you know, aside from the initial opening bit with the trial, once the actual story started, I was so engrossed in the story that when it does cut back to the trial for the first time, it was like somebody physically jerked my chair out from under me. I had gotten so engrossed in this story, which I've seen before, but I like it. I really like Mysterious Planet. That I felt like somebody had jerked the chair out from under me. Now, as this happened more in the story, it didn't bother me as much. But it was still slightly annoying sometimes, because it just killed the pacing of the story. But that first time really got me. The other times, I just kind of got used to it. Colin's performance in this is still a little over the top for me. He does have that very theatrical performance that does kind of rub me the wrong way sometimes. I always prefer Colin's performance in the audios. I don't know why. The audio stories, maybe his acting style fits better for audios. Maybe it's just because he's gotten better as an actor. I don't know what it is, but I tend to love his performance in the audios. Where in the actual TV show, I think of all the doctors I've seen, except maybe for Whitaker, he's probably my least favorite from a performance standpoint, because he has that very theatrical performance, which sometimes rubs me the wrong way. I don't necessarily think it's bad. It's just, I feel like I'm watching someone performing, not a character. And that happens here a few times. And of course, the story does a good job setting up for the rest of Trial of the Time Lord. There's a lot of things, of course, that start up here in the trial scenes, which will get explored in later stories. Considering this is just the first 4 parts of a 14-part seasonal arc, basically, because I always consider Trial of a Time Lord 4 stories, not 1 story. I know even the title's credited as one 14-part story. I don't think of it like that. I think Dalek's Master Plan is still the longest Doctor Who story. I think of these as 4 separate stories that just have a seasonal arc, more like the modern series. But I really enjoy this one. I like the directing. Of course, I love the writing. The dialogue is just top-notch. I like the outside shots. This was, of course, the first time when they switched completely to outside video, which works really, really well, actually. At least now when they're in studio and when they're outside, you know, it has a consistent look. I still prefer location work to be done on film, but it looks good here. It does look nice. I think the story comes together well, and the incidental music's great. I have to mention that. I really like the incidental music in this story a lot. It really helps it. So it's just one of those stories that's really firing on all cylinders for me. Everything's coming together really well. It's a lot of fun to watch. And I cannot overstate how much I just love Glitz and Dibber. I love those. I love when Robert Holmes does his double act. I just do. To me, that's just a staple of his work, aside from the good dialogue. And just Tony is so good as Glitz. So I had a lot of fun with this one. And I really appreciate Simon sending that set. And it was a great video request. Easily my favorite story of the season. One of my favorite Colin stories as well. Not as good as some of the stuff in season 22, of course, but still a really good Doctor Who story. So I want to know what you think of The Mysterious Planet and Trial of a Time Lord and the season as a whole. Comment down below and let's talk about it. Don't forget to click the like button and the subscribe button as well. I also have a Patreon if you would like to support me on that. I have a P.O. box down there. If there's anything you would like to send me to look at and review, I would love to get some more of these standard edition sets. I absolutely love them. And if you want to send one and have a request for something you'd like me to review on it, I don't mind at all. I also have a link to my Amazon wishlist down there and a link to my Amazon UK wishlist down there as well. I want to give a shout out to a couple of top tier patrons, Colin Coney and Sam Venning. I appreciate their support. I appreciate the support of people who have sent things many, many times. Lance, Simon, Colin, Unknown289, Stephen, several people have sent things. I really appreciate Will sending the autographed copy of Dark Contract. I did just get another one of his stories in. I bought his Resurrection Plant audio, and we'll be reviewing that soon as well. And most importantly, thank you for watching.